Hello everyone and welcome to the final video in the Tyranid army series. Today I will be finishing the last 4 models, but technically 2 units, namely the Neurotyrant and the Psychophage. It is finally time that I put an end to this army, though not completely, because all of the bases are completely not done, and I will get to them at a later time down the line, but I want to get the paint job on these guys finished. At the time of my recording, just one single final step remains, and that will be airbrushing the, what's the word I'm looking for? The varnish. Finally, good grief, it took me a billion years to get that thing out. It's gonna be edited out because I can now remove pauses from my recordings. But yeah, I really took a long time to say that. So painting these guys is quite easy. I applied the usual formula with Athematic Blue on the soft fleshy bits and Makehouse Purple on the harder fleshy bits, Dark Angel's Green on the carapace, Tesseract Glow on the brain matter, and various little touch-ups here and there for fixes and other debris that were on their bases. Painting these guys was a lot easier than I anticipated, including the Neurotyrant, which of course I took apart and made into sub-assemblies, which were much easier to paint. But they are big models compared to the little Thermagons or the Neurogons, so painting these guys was really easy, and I could use some really big brushes. Another few things that I did once all of the miniatures for the army were painted was I took my time and went back all over all of the models and did tiny touch-ups here and there where simple wear and tear occurred while I painted all of the other models. And this is going to be the final step before varnishing, but I did not film this process because it's just me touching up here and there. You can't really see most of these issues. And another thing that I noticed with at least the way I used my contrast paints was that even though when I painted them they looked good and it seemed to me that I got complete 100% coverage, a few days after the paints dried I noticed that somehow there appeared white dots in like middle of panels where it shouldn't actually be there, or I sort of missed somehow like a tiny microscopic dot, and it felt really weird that those dots were there, sort of like whilst they were pooling in the recesses, some of the paint just simply came away from certain millimeter sized dots on the miniature. This was easily solved with another dot of the same color exactly over there, but this has not happened to me before and it felt rather weird. As for the other tiny, like chips, this occurs naturally when the models are not vanished, and I did sort of like play with them in the sense that I showed them off and people touched them and wanted to see them from different angles, and it's perfectly normal for this to happen with miniatures that are not fully varnished. Some of them were, and those performed a lot better, but I'm not happy with the varnish that I used on some of them. I kind of noticed that a varnish kind of completely dries and is noticeable the way it should be in like a few days, not immediately in like a few minutes or hours, even after it's dry. I used I use two types of varnish. One is a gloss varnish and one is a ultra matte varnish. And to be honest, initially I thought about going with ultra matte and with gloss varnish on just like the brain matter bits to make them stick out and seem really glossy. But now that I think about it and that I remember, on the test miniatures that I used, I actually went with gloss varnish on the entire miniature, and this really does make a difference. And I will be using a mixture of these going forward, in the sense that while I would like to spend the time and matte varnish like all of the soft bits with matte varnish, like I said, and spray an entire gloss varnish all over the miniature, I think that would be a little overkill and to take way too much time. So the plan will be that I gloss varnish the entire miniatures because they're gonna look slick as hell, and just spend a bit of extra time matte varnishing specific really soft fleshy bits like the Tyranid Prime wings with ultra matte varnish. This should give me the look that I really am looking forward to, and that is what I plan to do in the next step. But that's a little bit down the line, if not the subject matter of this video. Like I said, painting this Psychophage and Neurotyrant was a breeze in the park. The Psychophage especially, it's a really large model, lots of places to hold it while painting, and the push fit type really works well when you want to do some assemblies, because even though you assemble them and prime them, you can easily take them apart. I do plan for the Space Wolves to magnetize as much as possible so that once I have primed them, I can take them apart in some assemblies. I want to do a single priming step, so to speak, with the miniatures assembled. That's why I'm looking forward to actually magnetizing most of my models. Besides this, I finally have equipment variations now with these wolves, so I might want to change that. So I will try and see how I can magnetize certain bits and make sure that I get as many possible variations as possible. Again, I'm getting off topic and always talking about what I'm going to do, not what I'm doing. Painting the mouth was fun, at the same time really tedious, and at the same time a little nerve-wracking, because I was on the last leg, so to speak, with my patience and everything, and I really wanted to like get all of the teeth painted, but at the same time I was not in the mood. I just wanted to get these done as quickly as possible. So a bit of quality was unfortunately dropped, so to speak. Yes, it's not looking to the best of my abilities, but it's passable enough, and this is a big model. While it might be like one of the main features of the model, that mouth, I decided that I was going to focus on something else, and I wanted to get it done as quickly as possible. For the fumes slash spores slash flames, whatever this guy is belching out, though in my headcanon I think it's spores, because I couldn't really be bothered to read up and find out what that is. I decided to make the kit the same soft tissue color, that athematic blue, combined with a really dark blue wash. There is a point in this. Technically, if they're spores, they are like really tiny microscopic organisms, and they should have like the same fleshy color as the rest of the knits, in just such a concentrated thing that you can literally see it. And I think that's kind of the point of this unit, and of course it makes sense that from their source there would be many, and they would then spread out to become almost invisible. So imagine if this thing actually fired like invisible microscopic flesh-eating armor-eating microorganisms. That would be fucking horrible. But then again, it's 40k, so that's like, you know, the norm. Imagine yourself being like a guardsman and holding the line and firing full auto, and then all of a sudden you see your buddy to the left just completely disintegrating in front of your eyes because he's being eaten by something, and you know it's coming for you as well. I mean, that's how grim, dark, and everything 40k is. Good grief, God almighty. Right, what else? For, of course, I forgot to mention the color scheme of the claws. The claws are all painted with shades purple. And another thing with the claws that I noticed while painting, touching up all of the miniatures, is that that one also color has the highest amount of chipping towards the end, because again, they're very, very tiny. All of the claws and hooves end up in very, very tiny points. So yeah, it was perfectly normal for those to be immediately damaged, but that is easily mitigated by just, you know, touch-ups here and there with a bit of paint. And of course, looking forward to finally varnishing everything and hopefully no more issues with chipping. I am sorry for the quality of my voice at the moment. I seem to be getting a slight cold and I am incredibly nasally sounding right now, more than usually. This is because one of my kids has been a bit sick and I have been taking care of him, so I may have caught the bug as well. So I look forward to a few more days of at least running noses, if not even more serious strain on my already pretty frail health, so to speak, because I have a really bad immune system. Since my nose started, I'm probably going to get at least a common cold out of it, if not a bit of a flu. That is life with kids. Getting back to the matter of hand, as I mentioned, painting these guys was awesome. I finally got to use like a really big brush. I think I used like a size 6. And I can also say that I have gone through the first of my paintbrush sets. So this set was bought off Temu, I think. It was pretty good. It had very sharp points. It was not any sable or anything hairs. It was something good. They were good enough. But unfortunately, I did not take very good care of them, and I ended up with a lot of paint at the end of my bristles. And while you might think that this would have really damaged them and split hairs, apparently these contrast paints which I used on the Tyranids sort of formed like a sheen around the base. I don't know how that it was like a sheet for the base of the bristles, and the tip kept very well. Going forward, I'm going to definitely switch to a new set. I'm going to keep this one for terrain painting mostly, definitely. I cannot use it on miniatures because I tried to break that thing apart and it ended up just deforming the bristles, and the paintbrushes do not form good tips anymore. So the paint being stuck there was not an issue. Me trying to fix said paint that was there actually was the issue. I do plan on getting some soap for these brushes going forward so that I can maintain them for longer, and while, you know, splurging on actual soap, paintbrush soap would be a thing, I also don't have any Kolinsky Sable brushes and anything like that. So I'm just going to try and get like the smallest cheapest bar of soap that I can get, and probably just get one from like the tiny bars at hotels and just keep that one on hand, because I think that's going to be more than enough for these brushes, and it should really do the trick. I do plan on seeing if I can get the new set, because I have like 2 or 3 more sets of similar paintbrushes, again from Temu, really cheap, but they get the job done very well. No complaints here. I mean, I was able to do like the finest details, and they range from like 7 or 8 all the way to 4 zeros, quadruple zeros, and that is absolutely amazing. You can do like the finest details like eyes and everything. But for the next project, which is going to be the Space Marine, I'm going to break out a brand new set. They totally deserve it, and that is definitely the plan. I really hope I get to make those last a lot longer than these ones. Besides, I plan, like I said, to clean them much better and to take care of them better, and definitely try not to get any of the paint to get on the base of the bristles. Hopefully I will manage it this time. And another thing regarding this, I think I will also be starting to use acrylic thinner instead of my normal water when washing the brushes, because I don't think that just water made the contrast paints completely leave the bristles, because I know that I have washed these in my pot of water at the end of the day, and even between strokes and so on. So why was there that buildup? I don't really understand how that happened. But this is something that I was going to experiment with the new set. Again, painting roughly 70 plus miniatures is still something. No, actually no, sorry, I'm exaggerating. It's close to 40. Let me check. So 20 something, yeah, 23 Termicons plus 11, 33, 36, 40, yeah, 50, roughly 50 miniatures, roughly 50-ish, 40-ish miniatures, somewhere in between 40 and 50 miniatures for a set. I think that's pretty good, considering these were less than $3, less than $3, maybe $4, something like that. Anyway, you get the message. A set, full set for less than $5 is absolutely awesome, and the fact that they lasted for almost 50 miniatures is incredible, at least for me. I don't know what the standards for someone else is. These are more than enough. I plan on keeping this going as long as I can, and if by some miracle I ever do get some, professional brushes, I'll see if those actually do handle paint better. But I'm more than happy with how these things deposit paint on miniatures and so on and so forth. Maybe others do a better job of it. I honestly right now have no terms of comparison. So what else? Oh yes, I wanted to talk about the final video slash stuff coming for the Tyranids, but that's going to come probably after I get started on the Space Wolves. The final video will definitely have to be like a overview of all of the miniatures, like on parade or something like that, and that's going to come soonish, because it will not involve any voiceover. It's just going to be an army showcase. Hey, this is the army, this is the complete army, like a roundup of everything, and that's going to work. Also, hey, if you stuck around till this part, I decided to do some mid-video shindig, so to speak, because hey, maybe somebody actually does check out the middle. I doubt that. At least according to your watch patterns. So, not that I can actually see much, because this is an incredibly small channel. Anyway, I was trying to do a point and I'm getting all over the place. Hey, if you enjoy my painting videos, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed, and hey, send it to a friend, share it to the friend. I'm really trying to grow as organically as possible, but I keep hitting the dead ends because I get happy for every new subscriber to this channel, but lately it seems like I have the worst luck, and every time I get ahead with one subscriber, somebody unsubscribes, and so on and so forth. So it would really help if, you know, like, you share it with a friend and told them, hey, this guy actually does real videos, not AI slap or anything like that. It's just, you know, an honest to God 6 hours of work just doing one video whenever I have the time. And this is like the best case scenario. I'm talking about 6 hours of work here, because doing all the painting and the editing really takes quite a long time, and the voiceovers, just, you have to do those in real time. So if this video has 38 minutes, then I have to do a recording that is roughly at least 45, because you have to cut out all the filler words and all the pauses and all the uhs and the oohs. Those were the filler words again, but you get the message. And just editing that and doing it is just killer. But I can promise you this channel will definitely not have any AI bullshit strapped to it. At best case, I tried using AI to sort out some of my lore and to be able to like generate a script that I would basically read after I modified it, but my free AI totally failed on that because I cannot afford to, you know, get a license and everything like that, and I don't want to do that. All of those seem like really shitty, to be honest. Not to mention that it feels like I know so much, but I can't really express myself. So I have to get better at it. And if I just use an AI tool, it's definitely not going to be my thoughts and expressions that I want to put up. So yeah, I am working put aside and think about from time to time a big project. I plan to do a lot of lore going forward, but I have to find a way for me to do it good and fast, and actually not fast. I just wanted to do it good, and to do that I really have to take my time with it and have a really good idea, but I don't at the moment, and working on it just seems so hard. But I will eventually get to it, and when I do it, it's going to be epic. Trust me. I already started working on like 10% of it, and it looks amazing. But it's really difficult to get it to align properly and to do everything. All right, enough foreshadowing. Hopefully, again. But yeah, painting the little guys was a little bit more difficult, but they were really airy models without having to go underneath, so to speak, or getting to nooks and crannies. Everything was accessible on these neuro links. I don't know what they're really called, the two tokeny thingies that this guy can send and attach to different units. I did make a few mistakes on this guy and the Psychophage, but they were easily corrected. And I noticed, I think, even after the final shots. So if by some measure you do spot some mistakes, trust me, in the final army showcase they will not be there. I will try and make sure that I have that corrected in the animation keys, but it's a little too late at the time of recording for me to redo the final shots, and it does take a long time now to do the final shots because I have learned even a bit more about Photoshop and focus and blending. So now all of my shots are actually composites of multiple of the same shots with different focuses, which are then automatically blended. So that does take extra bit of time and a lot more photos taken, but it's totally worth it, I think. And the pictures look amazing. I think the pictures look actually better than the minis, but yeah, it's totally worth it. And yeah, it's something that I am going to do a lot going forward. While I have done this for the past few videos, I would say that this batch has to be by far the best that I have done so far. So kudos to me. A little self jerking on my little chain, so to speak. And you can see that I'm using a tiny, I think a 000 brush here. It's totally worth it. I used it on only the Neurotyrant, on the tiniest bits of details, but those do really make the difference. And yeah, of course, I'm lazy and don't change the brush as often as I should, because I go from tiny details to large panels, but to like cover everything. Almost to the end now, but there's still some time. What else was there important? I kind of wanted to, but this is like the kid in me, those things on his back, I kind of wanted them to be like separately and then you could take them out. I'm guessing that those are supposed to be like the same neuraloids that are like on the tokens, but it would have been pretty cool if you could have made it like in the same base, have those bases be attached to him. I don't know if that would have been possible or not, but that would have been pretty cool to do. Hey Games Workshop, if you ever get to see one of these videos, 1, take this idea into account, and 2, send me a box from time to time, like a Spaceful box set. I'm not gonna say no, I'm just gonna say thank you and get the paint as soon as possible. Probably drop everything. Just saying, you know, please. Right, enough of my begging for attention. The Psychophage painting the carapace seems like I'm doing random stuff, but and painting this kind of went blotchy because it's like the biggest carapace that I had to paint so far, but the patterns do fit and they look really well, because again, I was going for like a camouflage look, or what a hive mind would think a camouflage pattern would look, and I think this actually served my purpose of like being a shitty painter and not, you know, like letting it pull the way the paint wants and just making lots of random dark spots and high spots actually was in my favor for this project. I would like to mention, for other stuff I plan to do a much better job of picking a direction and making all of the brush strokes in that direction, so to speak. But this was a sort of organic shape and it made sense to go all over the place and just as hamstring as possible, as weird and blotchy as possible, and I think that actually worked to my advantage. Hey, if you think otherwise, give a shout out in the comments. If you agree with me, say so in the comments. Let's have a discussion. Do you think this came out looking okay, or should I have done it differently? I'm honestly questioning my process at the moment, but I'm happy with the results, so to speak. So yeah, I'll see you in the comments. Leave your feedback. Other than that, I don't think I have much to say. I'm happy that this army is done with and I can move on. I really look forward to starting the assembly of the space souls. Can't wait to do that and to prime everything. And as I mentioned, I'm definitely going to try the actual slab job, the one that it should be. No more white primer and everything. The next round of army painting is definitely going to be black primed, well, with a gray zenithal and then white dry brushing. That's definitely what I'm definitely going to try, and then come in with like the special paints and so on and so forth, with the details for the base codes and so on and so forth. Final thoughts on this technical paint. This technical paint, I think, actually behaved a lot better as a contrast paint than the actual contrast paints. Honestly, I mean, I think this is a technical paint because it's older and it kind of behaved like that before the contrast paints existed, but damn if it wasn't good. And I think this is like a neon color or something like that, and it gives this tiny little bit of glow. But honestly, this technical paint is what contrast colors should behave like. I think it behaved most. I only got to use them on like a tiny portion of each miniature, of certain miniatures, but I really liked how it went. I know this is in theory Tesseract glow, but it looks awesome and it makes those brains look absolutely delicious. Just kidding, you know, they're nids, and if you try actually, you know, like eating their brains, I know it's a delicacy in my country, and I think it all over the world, but if you tried eating a Tyranid brain, I'm pretty sure that would be a bad idea, unless of course you're a Catachan jungle fighter. Then it's just, you know, normal breakfast, I think, for him. Jesus Christ. Alright, we're definitely getting to the end now, so it's time for me to do my shield. Since it's YouTube and it's absolutely mandatory that I remind everyone, hey, guess what? Please subscribe. Please, if you enjoyed the video, engage with it. Give a like, leave a comment, and please, for the love of God, share it to the friend, help my channel grow. I really want to make more of these videos, but they take up a lot of time, and I definitely need a job. This is never going to be a full YouTube gig for me, unless by some miracle I go viral and end up with millions of views, but that's not really gonna happen. But hey, at least make it so that I get a satisfaction that a lot of people watch my videos, so to speak. I know I'm not the best painter, and I know I don't have like the best track record with, you know, delivering on time what I want, but I'm trying and I'm doing better every week. For example, while this video is definitely not gonna break my 2-week upload schedule by much, I think it's going to be a few days ahead of shy of just missing those 2 weeks. But hey, I'm getting better. That's not a promise for the future. This is just something that, hey, I get to do for this hobby. And like I mentioned in the middle of this video, my channel will definitely not use any AI, and I will try as much as possible to not have any sponsors, because I am sick and tired of being on YouTube and having mid videos ads from the guy on YouTube telling me, hey, go and buy these, they're awesome. And I'm like, buddy, I'm never gonna buy anything off of YouTube or anything like that, even if you sell me shoes, Ray-Bans or whatever. I'm definitely not gonna do that. At some point in time, if I have enough subscribers, I might start a Patreon, but that is it, and that's just going to be for people who really want to support. That is what I would really like from this community. So yes, please share this video with a friend, hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed, and hit the like button. Hey, while we're at it, leave a comment, tell me you don't like my painting style and that I'm doing the bare minimum to get a Tyranid force in 3 colors, and that's it. But hey, whatever works, just, you know, say, do something over there. Enough shilling, enjoy the final shots, and I really hope to see you in the other videos. And that's it. Bye bye. Let's get ready for the space wolf.